it comes to building a true lifestyle business to monetize your expertise, your knowledge, your experience, your skill sets, sell information in the form of courses, coaching, consulting. There's two different types of elements that make up that business. You've got core static infrastructure, and then you've got more fluid elements that move and change and evolve, sometimes day to day, sometimes week to week, sometimes month to month, sometimes quarter to quarter. The model that I've got in front of you, we've been talking about over our recent videos, and you can go back and check them out if this is the first one that you're seeing. But this is my lifestyle business operating system. Okay. What I want to talk to you about in this video in particular is 4 core elements that are really static and part of the infrastructure. This doesn't mean that we don't update them, but they're really 4 things that you're going to need to build in order to start using a model, using this model or a model less. If you want to eliminate sales calls, if you want to have automated brand and business growth, if you want automated lead generation, if you want your ads to be paid for before you ever sign a client, right? If you want to be able to get clients by sending an offer doc instead of needing to do long sales calls, right? If you the idea of these elements, which for me are what make up a true lifestyle business, at least as far as monetizing your expertise, and in my experience selling over $7 million of information online, these are 4 really critical pieces of infrastructure that you're going to want to build. In this video, I want to walk you through what they are, show you some examples of them from my own business. And then if you want my help building this, you want all the shortcuts, you can check out the Lifestyle Business Academy. It's linked below. Otherwise, you can just build these for yourself. The very, very first one is, which we've spoken a little bit about in some of our recent videos, is you're going to want what I call a passive buyer engine. Okay? This is a low ticket funnel that you can kick off all of your social media, you can run ads to, but it sits out there in internet land and can generate you customers. It's the important part, 24/7. Okay. They can buy an order form bump. They can buy 1, 2, 3, 4 upsells. Ideally, if they buy everything, you should be able to make $300 to $500 in kind of total transaction value. Now, obviously not everybody is going to buy everything, but you want the possibility to do that, right? Now, this may not seem like money out the gate, but if you make $300 a day through this funnel, that's an extra $100,000 a year. That can cover investments in terms of like software, team, ads. It's very, 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 very valuable, right? And so here's an example. I've got a deeper dive on my channel that I'll link below. This is an example of a $50 lower ticket funnel. In the deeper dive video, I go into the full behind the scenes so you can see all the upsells and everything. This is going to be the first part of infrastructure that you want to build. Now, what you sell here is ultimately going to depend on one of the other pieces of infrastructure. So I'm going to circle back to this, right? I want to touch on these and then we'll go further. The second core piece of infrastructure I would recommend, let me see if I can get my face to come over here. What's going on? What's happening? Loom's going crazy. There we go. Second core piece of infrastructure that I would recommend that you build is what I call a rabbit hole resource. Okay. And fancy name for a lead magnet, but it goes further than a typical lead magnet. When people typically think about lead magnets, they think about like something that they pull together quickly to start generating some leads. That this is a detailed resource that covers your entire model method framework. Okay. So if you're in the business of selling information, fundamentally, you're in the business of helping people go from where they are now to where they want to be. In order for you to do that effectively, you need to draw on your experience. You need to refine that down into a model. You need to refine that down into a core process based on how you've overcome problems for yourself, based on work that you've done with clients, based on all of your experience. You should be able to distill it down into a clear pathway that people can ultimately follow. Everyone's going to not necessarily follow the exact same path every time, but you want some bumpers. You want a framework that people can ultimately go through. And so that's what this resource covers, and it goes deep on it, right? Like this resource here, and I'll link to this below so that you can check it out. This is like 25 pages, and you can see it goes through my lifestyle business operating system model for building this type of business. It shares the overall model, it drills into each individual component, right? Like using ads, it has examples, it has links to go off and like check out ad creatives, and it gives people like really, really deep dive. And the reason it's called a rabbit hole resource is because through it links off to different things that people can drill down into. All right. So here I'm talking about my engineer the moment content strategy. And then people can click off to here and they can go check out a whole bunch of examples of all the different types of content that fall under the different buckets. And so it gives people something that they can really, really sink their teeth into. I would recommend that you make this a free resource, or if you're going to sell it, put a very, very like $10 price tag on it, because you want people consuming this resource and you want people diving into the different elements to consume other components of it as well. The more time, the more they're going to be pre-sold, and the easier the sale of your main offer, which we're going to talk about in a second, will become. This is something that you put genuine time and effort into that provides a detailed breakdown. Because if people aren't sold on your overall methodology, they're never going to buy your main thing because it's not going to be relevant to them. That's the second core piece of infrastructure that I want you to be building out. And then if we come over here, the third one is what I call a master nurture sequence. This is something that you're going to set up in email, and it's going to go out over 1 to 2 weeks for anybody that comes into your world. Okay, so in my business, this is a 2-week sequence that goes out to everybody that comes in via either purchasing a low ticket offer or coming in through this free lead magnet, or I've got a couple of other free lead magnets out there. Basically, anybody that ends up on my list comes through this master nurture sequence. Now, I also send out daily broadcast emails, and I've got a method for doing that that takes like 5 to 10 minutes. It's very, very quick. But until the lead has gone through this 2-week sequence, they do not start receiving those. This is like the on-ramp into my world, right? This covers really, really critical things in terms of like, how does this work? What is this all about? Who am I? What have I done? Why should you even bother listening to me, right? My backstory, right? Who is this person and what are they all about, right? And as we drill into it, we start to get into more of the elements of operating system, the methodology, and it essentially indoctrinates people, right? What happens inside LBA. So now we're starting to introduce the main offer and the product itself and what we can work on together and what we can build together, right? Proof, testimonials, handling objections in advance, debunking myths, all these kind of things we want to have set up and running 24/7, right? And the really, really cool thing is every single day when I wake up, there's people replying to these emails wanting details for my academy, which is my main offer. This is the third core piece of infrastructure that you're going to want to have in place. And then the fourth one is going to be a flagship offer where you ultimately move all of your traffic towards, right? So if we go back and look at our operating system here, we've got traffic that moves into the middle of the funnel, right? And so the things that we've spoken about are our low ticket offer, our rabbit hole resource, right? That ultimately brings people into our middle of funnel. Then our automated emails kick in. And then the fourth core piece of infrastructure that you're really going to set up once and then just optimize, but it's not going to require a ton of changes once you're rolling, is going to be your flagship offer. I recommend that you have a leveraged offer that it's productized and people can go through it, that you still work on it, you answer questions, you show up for calls, but you can scale your income without scaling your time. And so the way that we sell this is through an invitation document, right? And here's a live example of one. You can also check this out. This is for my academy, right? I've got a little Loom video. This is actually a little experiment that I'm running at the moment. See how that goes. A little Loom video walking through some elements, but we've done millions without the Loom video piece of it. Just the document. And so you can see here, I created it. What does it solve? What's it all about? What's the philosophy? What's the invitation? Results, core game plan that we're going to execute on together, what's included, and then it goes into investment, duration, how easy it is to get an ROI, and then there's links to purchase. Okay. And so this is the fourth core piece of infrastructure. This is a 5-page document that invites people to take the next step if they want to work with me. Now, here's the really, really critical component. You need to think about all of this as a straight line, right? And so if we go back to this model here, you can see that's exactly what this is. It's a straight line all the way through from the traffic into the that capture the information, capture buyers, capture leads. That moves them into the middle of funnel, which ultimately moves them towards the offer. And you want the messaging, and you want the game plan, and you want story and everything to be conveyed through, because that's going to engineer the fastest path for people to ultimately go from not having a clue who you are, cold traffic, to warming up, to becoming hot traffic, and ultimately becoming a client, so that you can deliver, and then one client can turn into two, etc., etc. Okay. So a couple more points that I just wanted to touch on when it comes to this kind of core infrastructure. Obviously, there are other elements to the model that I'm not touching on in this video, and the reason for that is because they fall into that second type of component of the business that I mentioned off the top, which is those are a lot more real time. Like those are a lot more day-to-day elements, like your content, managing your ads, creating YouTube, remarketing ads, converse over email in the DMs. Those are happening a lot more in real time, but those things can't happen without the core infrastructure in place. And so that's what I really wanted to put on the table, because I know people are looking at this and they're like, I like the idea of it. What do I need to build? They're going to be 4 of the core things that we need to build together. So then you can, once they're in place, you can just focus on traffic into those funnels, a daily email, some YouTube videos, remarketing ads, talking for that you've created in front of them, and then running that playbook again and again and again and again until you ultimately scale up to the point that you want to get to. I said that what you sell here ultimately depends on your main offer, right? The reason every client that I work with, we start with what is your flagship offer? What is your main offer? Is because everything flows off the back of it, right? Don't start trying to create your rabbit hole resource or your low ticket offer or write your master nurturing sequence if you're not clear on the main offer, because it's not going to work. It's going to be incongruent. It's not going to align, and you're not going to engineer that kind of straight line pathway. People can buy it without a sales call. That is 100% the place that you need to start. Then you can reverse engineer everything from that. You can create your nurture sequence. You can create your detailed free resource. You can create your low ticket product, which will attract people who will ultimately be interested in this thing. Everything flows off the back. I'm going to put some more resources below that will help you with different components of this. But those are 4 things. Either go and build them on your own if you want to go build this type of business, or if you jump into the academy, we will engineer together. I'll give you examples and all this below so you can check it out. But go build those things, and then you can just focus on putting traffic through it and optimizing. Cheers.